Welcome back. Now here we are talking about brand consulting and design. Landor, of course, is a name that is top of mind, and talking to us right now is the CEO of the company, the global CEO, Lois Jacobs. Great to have you with us.
Great to be
you're
here.
very familiar with India, I understand. You have been coming here.
I have. I've been coming here for about 5 years.
So you're familiar with the landscape. And there are certain shifts that are happening globally as well, Lois, in terms of brand consultancy, where things stand right now. How do you see this kind of shift that's currently underway?
Well, branding used to be quite a very rigid construct, and the be-all and end-all of branding was creating the brand, positioning the brand, and then making sure that on no account no one should deviate from the brand guidelines that were set up. But that doesn't work anymore. We live in a much more disruptive world. Brand has never been as important as it is right now, but branding models are obsolete, and it's about we've noticed an emergence of a branding paradox. Brands still have to have a very clear definition of what they stand for,
yes,
but at the same time they've got to constantly evolve and adapt, and that's the paradox.
So is it tough convincing your clients to make that shift? Because obviously you deal with a host of them. In India, I'm seeing a lot more startups. So I'm wondering whether the kind of shift that you're talking about is easier, considering that they've just started and they're more open to change.
There's certainly a lot of these exciting startups that we're seeing in India. They're very aware of the disruptive landscape, because that's in fact what they're benefiting from. In India, some of the difficulties is convincing people of the value of a brand, because it's quite a new discipline here in India. But I am pleased to say that there's much more recognition of it than there ever was, and marketing companies are understanding the need to separate branding from advertising and other forms of marketing and coming to the specialist.
In terms of sectors, what are the shifts that you're seeing? And in India, which are the sectors that are really making use of the brand value, which you're saying is a new construct?
I think that a lot of the well-established companies here in India are realizing the need to be much clearer about what their brands stand for. And as these well-established companies are diversifying into new sectors, they're realizing the importance of making sure that they have what we call in the trade brand stretch, so that they've created their brand architecture in such a way as they can go into these more fast-moving and very exciting new sectors. The newer companies want to get to market fast. They have some sense of brand. They're coming to us, but they're looking for a much quicker solution, and we're spending quite a lot of time talking about the importance of getting the underlying strategy and brand promise, brand purpose, if you will, in place.
Right. Because it's such a competitive environment right now, so in terms of trying to create a very unique brand identity, that becomes very crucial, right? In a space like financial services, for example. Yeah. How do you go about doing it?
The identity is very important. A lot of the time when people talk about the identity, they mean the logo. Mm-hmm. And the logo is very important, but there's no sense in just designing something which looks great if it's not informed by a brand strategy. So that's the first task that we have to do, is to define what that brand strategy is. And then we tend to talk less about the logo, although that's hugely important, and we're not going to say no to the logo, but right, more about the experience. So sure, we create an experience map, and we say, when you consider your brand, look at how does it feel to be immersed in that brand? What's the environment look like? How does it talk to its customers? What's its unique tone of voice? What are the disproportionate moments of impact that you can create for your brand, informed by your brand purpose?
Right. And social media?
Social media is a fantastic tool and a very dangerous tool as well. And one of the things that we advise is, don't think about being on every social media channel. Think first of all about, what's your intent? Do you want to build a community? Do you want to sell something? Do you want to educate? And only then should you decide what is the best social media channel for you. So again, it comes back, it sounds a bit boring, but it comes back to that strategy.
Right, so a lot goes into deciding where exactly you want to be present and how.
Yes, and why.
And why,
yes,
essentially. But people as well, they're very much more informed than they used to be in the past. So in terms of the terms of engagement, how do you kind of decide the strategy formation? How do you go about it?
That's a very good point. And again, it depends on the audience that you're trying to reach. We've just done some research quite recently about what millennials, that elusive demographic that everybody is trying to appeal to at the moment, those young people, they're very opinionated about brands, and they're also very adept at using social media. So one of the qualities of an agile brand is that they need to be open. They need to embrace this world of co-creation and of collaboration. So you have to embrace the idea of having a conversation and using those social media channels to test things out, to talk to your customers about how you can best focus your brand to meet their needs.
Sure.
So they're great channels, great ammunition.
So for Landor right now, the kind of business that you're driving out of India, and obviously that market is growing, but like you said, it's happening more as a project. Is this very different from how it happens globally for you with the other clients that you work with?
It is quite different. There's always going to be projects, particularly on the corporate branding side, with mergers and acquisitions, when new brands are being formed. That's always going to be quite project-based. So hopefully, as time goes on, we will have much longer, more sustainable relationships with our clients in this market as well as in others. Another trend that we're seeing in India, which is very exciting to us as well, because we're part of a global network, is those Indian brands that are looking much more outside of the country and developing internationally.
So local brands aspiring for global stature.
Yes, that's right. And another example, slightly different to that, but still from the same thought process, is we're working with Tetley at the moment, relaunching that brand all over the world and repositioning that brand or redesigning that brand.
Right. So, I mean, there is a lot of diversity in terms of the kind of clients that you will service. And, you know, in terms of the availability of competition, there is plenty out there.
There certainly
and
is.
there are these smaller outfits that can do the job as well. So then how do you create your differentiator?
The differentiator for us at Landor is the building of any expression of the brand, making sure that it's absolutely informed by a brand strategy. A third of our business is brand strategy as distinct to design. The other thing that when we were talking about trends that is happening a lot, people used to design, probably 3 or 4 years ago even, used to design an identity once that strategy had been done, which was very analog, which was designed to be printed on your stationery. And now, really, when we look at identities, we're looking at it from how does it work digitally? Because that's as important and probably more important. How does it work on the web,
sure,
rather than what it looks like on a piece of paper? Something that here in this television studio, everyone's very aware of.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And how do you go about that is going to be a fascinating journey to watch. Lois, we'll be watching exactly what Landor does in the years to come. Good luck going ahead from here.
Thank you very much.